Can I Not Marry audio web novel chapter 41. This is the legendary date. Since arriving until now, Du Lacey has been very depressed. Although she kept trying to flatter the president, but the president did not utter a single word, there was hardly any smile on his face. What exactly is going on here? Du Lacey remained perplexed despite much thought. Could it be her flattery skill is not up to par? Thus she paid even more attention and considerations whilst clipping food for the president, yet Lian Jun still had no smile on his face at all. He was still frowning and remained silent. Looking at him, Du Lacey finally could not help but openly ask, "Where are you feeling uncomfortable?" Lian Jun shook his head, but did not speak. Then could it be you're angry with me? Once again, Lian Jun shook his head, and did not speak. His already acting like this and still refused to admit his anger. Du Lacey felt slightly angered herself. With a heart of determination she simply said, "Don't be like this, if you have words you would like to say, just say it." Do. Lian Jun finally helplessly spoke. His voice was hoarse. "I just have a sore throat." Which person who couldn't eat spicy food would smile after consuming so much? However, the initiator in front of him is completely oblivious of this, putting on an appearance of injustice, really made one not knowing whether to be angry with her or dote her. To hear him finally speak, Du Lacey realized she has wronged a good person. It turns out the president isn't angry with her. She breathed a sigh of relief and asked with concerns, "How did you suddenly suffer from a sore throat?" "I don't know, Du Lacey sigh. "Who asked you to eat so much spicy food?" Lian Jun choked hearing this. "It seems like you were the one who clipped these food to me." Du Lacey thought rightfully and said, "I clipped these because I knew you like eating spicy food." Lian Jun was stunned and asked, "Who told you that? I love spicy food." He. It seems the president still embarrassed. Du Lacey mysteriously replied in a low voice, "You don't need to be embarrassed. Auntie Wu told me. In fact, you don't have to treat me so indulgently, really." "Actually, what?" She looked at him with a serious expression. Such a naive and stupid person. If she discovers that he cannot eat spicy food, then wouldn't she be ridden with guilt to death? It's best if he finds an opportunity to bring it up in the future. Lian Jun swallowed down the words he originally wanted to say and said, "It's nothing. At the moment my throat is only a little uncomfortable. Perhaps it's best to stop eating these spicy food." "All right." Du Lacey nodded. "I asked the waiter to bring you a glass of milk to clear your throat." Lian Jun's mouth twitched. "What else did Auntie Wu say to you?" He. Du Lacey mysteriously smiled. "She told me everything." "What?" "I still prefer drinking water." In the end, of course the milk wasn't consumed. For certain Lian Jun wouldn't continue eating the spicy food. He just drank a cup of water. After drinking the cup of water, asked for the bill and was ready to leave. Du Lacey proudly took out her wallet, ready to pay, when a credit card came out one step ahead of her. She was stunned. Her eyes glanced at the hands that held the credit card and saw Lian Jun's behooved face. Du Lacey suddenly felt, being a mistress of a rich man certainly felt great. After eating lunch, there was still a lot of time left, so Du Lacey suggested talking a stroll. "We won't go," Jia-kun said. "They have already eaten a free meal. Naturally they can not also be an electric bulb one, as well. It was only common knowledge. Besides, he doesn't want to be disturbed." He inadvertently glanced at Zhu Yaofei and his mouth exposed trace of a smile. Fei, this fox is staring at you with such lust." Du Lacey's one sentence exposed his secrets. Zhu Yaofei rolled her eyes. "He's normally like this. I have been accustomed to it." Jia-kun gave a hurt expression. "Wifey, you're slandering your husband." Zhu Yaofei corrected him. "First of all, we are not married. I'm not that familiar with you. Second of all, I was speaking the truth." Jia-kun very naturally hooked his arms around her waist. "Honey, we are obviously more familiar with each other than a married couple, okay? Cut the crap and let go of your pig's trotters." Obviously Zhu Yaofei spoke this way, however she did not struggle. It was apparent between the two of them they were really more familiar with each other than married couples. Watching the two quarrel, Du Lacey could not help but sigh in her heart and laments that Jia-kun's sentence is indeed true. They are more familiar with each other than married couples. Married. She suddenly thought of something. If they are familiar with each other than married couples, then the relationship between her and the president, was it familiar or unfamiliar? If saying they are unfamiliar, then the president always kissing her, embracing her while rolling in the sheet, what does this imply? If saying they are familiar, clearly have he expressed those 3 words to her yet? Don't even mention the 3 words. He hasn't even held her hand and gone on a date. How can this be considered as being familiar with each other? After much deliberation, Du Lacey felt very chaotic. At this time, Lian Jun suddenly said to her, "Let's go." "Where are we going?" Du Lacey didn't have the time to respond. Lian Jun said, "Walk around." "But Fei, they have gone." Lian Jun raised his eyebrow. "The two of each can't walk around ourselves." Du Lacey was suddenly stunned. She thought of the problem she's struggling over. Shopping. The two of them. This is the legendary date. Before she could react, Lee An-jun had walked towards her and took her by the hand. His hand was very large, almost wrapped her entire hands, only using a little bit of strength she has followed his footsteps. This situation, it was very strange. A tall handsome man holding a goofy lost woman slowly walking on the road. After walking for a while, Lee An-jun suddenly stopped and looked at her helplessly. I'm not walking a dog. Can you please give me some sort of reaction? Oh. Du Lacey nodded. She was suddenly enlightened. You called me a dog. Lee An-jun shrugged his shoulders. You said it yourself. Du Lacey gritted her teeth. Just when she thought the president had become cordial, it was only an illusion. She madly stomped her feet and wanted to break free from his hand, but their strength difference was too wide. After struggling for a while, there was no use. When she stared at the president again, he appeared as if he was playing with a dog. XOX. Being together with the president really isn't better. Being played by the president for no particular reason, Du Lacey felt resentment. She decided to carry on. Quote ellipsis quote. She gnashed her teeth in anger and pretend that she didn't hear anything. Who answers you is a pig. Would you like to eat ice cream? Lee An-jun suddenly stopped at the roadside in front of an ice cream truck. Du Lacey looked at the ice cream and blankly stared at it. In this world there should be only two things Du Lacey cannot refuse, the president and ice cream. Currently the president is holding her hand and asking her if she would like to eat ice cream. Facing such a powerful temptation, Du Lacey decided to temporarily become a pig. Licking her lips, she resolutely nodded, want. The scorching summer sun, her right hand was holding a giant ice cream, while her left hand was pulling a handsome man. Such treatment not any ordinary person can enjoy. At this point, Du Lacey's depressed mood was swept away. She licked the ice cream while smiling with joy. Seeing all of this, Lee An-jun could not help but laugh. This girl with a pair of anemic appearance, merely an ice cream, she can be so happy as if she has won the lottery. He really do not know what's inside her head. Thinking of this, he reluctantly shook his head. This little action attracted Du Lacey's attention. What's wrong? She asked curiously. Since the beginning the president had been staring at her strangely. Could it be? She was suddenly enlightened. The president must also want to eat ice cream. However, he felt awkward being a grown man eating ice cream on the streets, so coveted the one in her hands. The president, you are really mensao tube. Mensao describe a person whom other think is gentle and good and conservative, but actually, her natural disposition is passionate and even a little more crazy about something. So she generously extended the ice cream in her hands. Give you a bite. Okay. Lee An-jun smiled, lowered his head and was going to take a bite. However, he did not aim at the ice cream. Instead he aimed it at the residual milk stains on someone's lips, gently biting her lips, his tongue carefully licking them as well. Boom. Du Lacey only felt something exploded in her head. Heat was rolling and spewing. Not long after her face flushed, she wanted to stretch out her hands to push him away. However, a certain person's hand grabbed hers while his other held into the ice cream. After gently sweeping his lips across hers, he was still not satisfied, so the tip of his tongue freely roamed and knocked on her teeth. On the big open street, Du Lacey felt as if there were cast eyes from all directions. Suddenly her thoughts were in a chaos. In the blink of confusion, she could only let his tongue explore her lips, easily digesting her and gradually taking her breath away. At this moment, she suddenly felt a strong tug at her skirt. The strength wasn't hard, only gently tugging again and again. Wait a minute. What? Being interrupted while he was still tasting was not nice. Lee An-jun's tone was slightly unhappy. There's something. When she turned around to look, a crashing sound came. She was petrified. She saw a 4 or 5-year-old little girl, holding a bear doll in her hands, very innocently staring at them. Brother, sister, what are you doing? 3 people, 6 eyes, staring at each other, completely speechless. At this time, a woman rushed over and pulled the little girl. Whoops, my Siozu Jung ah. I told you not to run around. How come you don't listen ah? After finished speaking, she shyly smiled toward Lee An-jun and Du Lacey and said, you guys please, continue. Please continue your head. Du Lacey has already forgotten how she held the president's hands. Under the very curious eyes of the girl she has already flung them away. In short, after her gasping stopped, angrily wanted to eat a mouthful of the ice cream. However, it had disappeared without a trace. Only an empty ice cream cone was left in her hands. 55,555. Ice cream god, I have wronged you. I'll buy you another one. On the side, Lee An-jun said. No. She quickly rejected his idea. One was enough for her. If the president was to buy another one, then there's a possibility he would do something towards her again. Really is too scary.